Welcome again to the Babbleheads Podcast with Bryson and Corey.
You can do better. Come on, you can do better. I've heard you do better.
Welcome to the Babbleheads Podcast with Bryson and Corey.
All right. Let's get this boat on the show, man.
Boat on the show. Show on the road. What the boat?
Boat on the road. Let's get this boat on the road.
Okay. Wow. I can see the timer this time.
Good.
It's huge. Yeah, pour it up. You got this.
Lagavulin 16, bro.
Yep, that's the last.
Wow, there's a lot of it left.
That bottle is a lot bigger than it looks. All right, now, easy, fellow.
Uh-oh.
Did you spill some on the table?
I did.
Better clean that up with your face. I do actually need
another decoration for the table.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. That was.
Thank you for driving me back to my apartment.
Of course, mate. Of course.
Cheers.
Worth for this.
Sweet, sweet Lagavulin.
Such an interesting piece of liquid.
Yes. So it was crazy seeing the new features of their car there.
Yeah. Just got a new car. It's 2017 Impreza, which is a totally normal car. Oh. So it's pretty amazing the features that are available on a normal car these days. Corey got to experience for the first time what Subaru calls lane keep assist.
Yeah, it was pretty butthole clenching.
It's weird, man.
Yeah.
It's so weird. So the idea is you turn this feature on. It uses a bunch of different cameras and all kinds of different stuff. And it can detect the lines in the road. And if you begin to drift over them, it will actually, instead of just alerting you, it will steer for you. It'll keep you on the road. Yeah. And then that combined with their eyesight, which locks onto the car in front of you and will do adaptive cruise control and slow you to a stop, you can pretty much just take your hands and feet off and just see what happens.
What scared me was that when you first started doing it, it lost the left center lane behind it, and it didn't warn you at all. It's not like, hey, I've lost the center line. We're going, and the yellow line is like now approaching my side of the car, and I'm like,
I don't think it's working. It wasn't.
It wasn't working.
Well, that's what happens when you buy a Subaru and not a Mercedes or something like that.
Well, I think the problem is that I think people will put way too much faith in it. And the technology is there, but it's still not there.
It's enough to, like, keep you safer.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to say, I'm going to fall asleep on my way to work today.
Yeah. Exactly. And I mean, I think the car detection is pretty close. We'll see.
That's honestly very accurate.
I'm sure there's some cars that could probably throw it for a loop. I wonder what would happen if you come up on like a motorcycle.
It works. I've done it.
Nice. That's cool.
It can even, like, if you're going under, I think it's like 35 or 40 miles an hour, it'll detect pedestrians in front of you too and come to a stop.
That's cool. It's just, I think the problem is people will come to rely on it too much, and that's when you get the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, tell you, man, cool, but
I never realized how much I drift between the lines on my way to work.
Yep.
Until I have a system that tells me how much I do it.
Oh, because, I know I do.
I go to work pretty early, so I'm honestly sometimes very tired. Yeah. On my way to work, and like I feel myself drift here and there, but like now I know because like I'll be like do, and then all of a sudden the steering wheel's like whir, and I'm like, whoa.
Have you ever started nodding off at the wheel before?
100%.
Yeah, that's scary.
That's
really. So I've been there. It's scary.
There are several times. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but there are several times where this was several years ago, but when I worked out in Utica, and I would drive home to my parents' house, which is about 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
There were a couple nights where I would leave work, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I would leave the parking lot at work, and I would blink. I was pulling into my parents' driveway, and I don't remember a single thing that happened in between.
All right. Okay.
Like almost like muscle memory got me home.
See, when I also worked in Utica, which
Yep.
was, a 40-minute drive home, I would be so tired because I was working 60, 70-hour weeks.
Yep.
And, just killing myself there. And I was driving home, and I would get times where I would, I could tell I was tired, and it was like I would go,
Yes, definitely.
And that it's the weirdest sensation to be that exhausted. And it was scary. And I never told my parents about it.
Don't. There's something it's so soothing about it's almost hypnotic when you're driving down the highway and the lines are just coming from infinity forever, and you're just I can't imagine how around here we have some pretty windy roads and stuff like that. I can't imagine what it'd be like living somewhere out in Nevada where you have just dead straight roads for 100 miles.
Yeah,
But then again, you have 100 million miles you could go off the road and not get any accidents.
True. The thing is that I've definitely done you're driving and all of a sudden you're like, how the heck did I end up here? Why did I go this way? Because you just get so used to going certain directions.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, I've definitely fallen asleep at the wheel. 100%.
And
maybe not for very long, but I did that a few times where I would leave work, feel like I blinked. And I know, obviously, I didn't just blink.
Yeah.
And I was home. So 40 minutes of driving that I just completely don't remember.
Yeah.
A little sketchy.
Yeah, I think there's definitely times I've had where I've driven and it's kind of you don't even realize what's going on. And
we've read studies about this, though, right? When we both work in manufacturing.
Yeah.
And this is something we talked about before, where people who work in manufacturing and do a job that's very repetitive, where they do the same thing every day, 40 hours a week for 25, 30, 50 to 40 years. We knew some people who do the same thing for literally 35, 40 years.
Yep.
They just kind of go into autopilot.
Yep.
Yeah, they walk through the door and then they just go. And they don't even have to think about anything. It's just
they could be thinking about something completely different, and their job gets done.
Pondering the meaning of life. And,
while they're running and doing some boring on the vertical boring machines. Actually, I know a couple people that left our previous employment and joined me at my current employment. Actually, they were before me. But they spent 30, 35 years running the same stuff. And granted, every once in a while, they might do something different. Right. But it's, they get asked now to do some things in different departments, and they're just so uncomfortable with it. And for me, at first, I was like, you've been around it for so long, but then it reminds me, it's when you do the same thing, just because you do one part of it doesn't mean you know everything and are comfortable doing that kind of work.
Yeah, if you're the guy who stamps a fender every day for 30 years, that doesn't mean you know how to tune an engine.
Exactly. And I think... you've run into this as well. You ever take a single class or are good with computers and everybody asks you to fix their computers?
Yeah.
So it's I guess the same concept applies. Oh, you do woodworking or you work in a wood shop? Hey, can you help me fix
this? Build me a dresser.
Yeah, build me a dresser or help me with my kitchen cabinets.
Yeah. It's bro, I run a palm sander.
Yeah. Bro, I hand sand things all day. If you need me to grip something, I'm there. Build something? Nope.
Wait, you're telling me that you work in a wood shop and all you do is rub it with steel wool? Yeah, that's what I do all day.
Yeah. I don't know, man. There's some people that are cut out for that kind of work. Mm-hmm. I'm just not one of them.
Yeah.
I've done that kind of work. It kills me.
I haven't really.
It's here's 100 shirts that are all getting the same exact thing on it. Get it done. That sucks.
Yeah.
Really
I can imagine. Just from my previous experience of, hey, here's a display. We need you to put 150 of this on it.
Yep.
That's annoying.
Yep. You're that's 1 out of 150. That's 2. Only 148 more to go.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. And again, it's...
But we run into stuff like that in our jobs now, too.
Yeah.
Where it's repetitive.
There's definitely some repetitive parts that are drawings. Thankfully, we don't do too many drawings.
We don't do many either. We have 2 draftsmen.
That's got to be a shit job.
I'm not saying anything about their job because they might like it. Just for me.
Well, again, it's
that's
one
my
of those
worst
things.
nightmare.
Exactly. It's one of those things where everybody's different, and some people will just be really good at things and like things that you couldn't understand why.
So the difference between our previous job and my current one is I do the model and all of the engineering stuff. Then somebody does the menial, less fun stuff, and then I just have to check it.
Yeah.
Although creating the operations for every part on a 200-piece case is a little menial.
Yeah. Well,
that's the least fun thing.
Do they have nearly as many operations as at our previous place, or is it
more.
more streamlined?
Way more operations.
Yeah, but is it a little bit more easy to understand than just a random number and like...
No, it's a random number.
I don't know. I just felt
it's almost exactly the same kind of number, too. It's a 3-digit number for the operation.
Yeah, but I think that's a good way to
But I
learn.
have choices.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like, well, if you want to have a boring operation done, you have to do it on the vertical bore.
Yeah.
Or maybe, if you're lucky, you could throw it on the CNC.
Yeah.
But here it's like, oh, you have something that has anything I have that has basically more than 4 operations on it. Mm-hmm. We just go CNC.
Yeah. See, I'm enjoying where I'm at now because while they don't have operations there, it basically gets to the machine shop and they're like, all right, just make it. Let's figure out how to make it.
Yeah, but that comes with logistical problems.
Yeah,
from an engineering standpoint.
Again, it's a different thing. Like I'm working on getting them drawings again because it's something that they've kind of gotten away from and that they want. So I'm working on getting that back. But actually Monday, a project I'm working on is redoing the specs for certain things. So literally for the specs for these commercial jobs, you have to say how every single piece is made. And everything, like down to like how it's laid up, how it's combined, how it's sanded, what it's sanded with, what it's finished with.
Go into pretty crazy detail. We do a bunch of those specs.
Yeah,
but we don't do that kind of detail.
Well, that's what people are asking for, and I never dealt with that at our last employment. So
good catch.
It's
I don't think it matters because they're gone.
Yeah, but
we could probably say it.
Probably.
We'll wait.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
But
I think that's enough talk about work. It's playtime.
Yeah. So, I think I always like to bring up the stuff on here that kind of life experiences that rile me up a little bit. And we talked about this a little bit earlier in the car. I was walking out of Panera Bread with too much food in my hands for one person. You did it again? But
did you get 2 drinks?
No.
Oh,
but I got it to go, so it looked like I was at least
taking it to a party.
Yeah, and there was this man being escorted in by what I can only guess is like a granddaughter,
right? And
he looks like he was probably in like World War I or II, like ancient.
2 probably. One was a long time ago.
I don't know, man. He was up there, and he was moving probably an inch an hour, really slow. And I felt bad, so I stood there, and they had one person holding up one door, and I held the next one. And the guy holding the first door was family, and the family looked at me like they couldn't believe I was offering to help. And I'm like, it's a sad day when I witnessed 5 or 6 people just walk out in front of me, and that poor man who walked as slow as he did had to wait for these people to leave.
People are so selfish, man.
It killed me. And I mean, like, it got me thinking about how, like, being a gentleman and referred to as being a gentleman has become, like, a taboo phrase nowadays. Like, if somebody's like, wow, you're such a gentleman, I feel like people always take that the wrong way.
I use the phrase, you're a gentleman and a scholar.
Yep.
Which I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back. And the last time I said it to somebody was one of my coworkers, and it was with a couple other people. I was like, "Thank you, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar." And he goes, "No gentleman here."
Yeah. I think it's lost its meaning, and the problem is, we both are pretty fond of Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson. And he gets a lot of hate.
We love those alt-right, far conservative, super crazy Nazi guys.
I don't understand why he gets all the hate he does, but he says that, like...
It is a little strange.
Because we're taking certain things like religion, which he's not very religious.
No,
but we're
he does
taking it
talk about
out
it,
of the equation. We're losing a lot of the values that those were originally stated in to kind of give us boundaries to be good people.
Yeah.
And I've seen it.
Yeah, I would say that, regardless of whether you are religious or not, most religions in the world offer some type of moral code.
Yep.
And I think that the biggest thing that religion gives you is these are values to live by.
Yep.
Some religions take them as these are the values you need to live by, and if you do not, you will be punished. Others are more like, these are the rules that you need to live by, or you should live by. Mm-hmm. If the stronger you adhere to them, the more you'll be rewarded.
Yeah. And the one thing that always kind of killed me was, that's not a very Christian thing to do. Or you should be a good Christian. And it's like, listen, I am going to be a good person because that's how I was raised. I don't care of any, cosmic shift this is gonna cause. I'm not one of those people that goes through Dunkin', pays for the person behind me. It's like on Facebook, I did such a good deed today, I paid for somebody's Dunkin' behind me in the line.
Do you think that there's an alternate universe where you didn't pay for that person's Dunkin'?
Oh, I definitely do.
Yeah?
And I think in that alternate universe things are probably a lot different. And I think there's a lot of them that are exactly the same.
Alright, let's get a little philosophical here. This will be good. I often have pondered on the word infinite. Mm-hmm. Because I think infinite is a word that a lot of people don't spend a lot of time thinking about. They go, infinite, it goes on forever. Right? And the fact that the universe is essentially infinite and always ever expanding, basically. So our universe is infinite, basically. And they're now theorizing that there are multiple universes. I think the number was 11, but either way, I don't know how you come up with that number. But regardless, imagine that there's an infinite number of infinite universes, right? Mm-hmm. So that means that every eventuality that could possibly ever happen has happened. Mm-hmm. And statistically, in infinity, everything is possible statistically in infinity. Mm-hmm. So the fact that there are flying pigs on an exact duplicate of Earth somewhere in our universe is statistically extremely likely. Yep. And I think that that's something that people don't really think about. I mean, us being alone in the universe is statistically highly unlikely.
Yeah. Well, I've thought about that as far as the multi-universe theory and stuff like that. And I thought, I'm sure I'd prefer the idea of it's the branching. So even right now,
so you're saying
there's an infinite number of possibilities that can happen from right now.
We have a seltzer and we have a whiskey, right? Yeah. So in one universe, I picked up the whiskey. In another universe, I picked up the seltzer. In another universe, I got killed by the ice cube by choking on it. Yep. So I prefer, to me, I'm at one of those universes, somebody's doing they're on top of the world. Corey of that universe is king. You're Elon Musk in that world.
You're in another one,
you're launching Corey cars.
Yeah, and another one, I'm in many of them, I just wouldn't be. But in some of them, it's worse
Think about
than that.
Yeah, because all the eventualities that would have had to lead up to your existence.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's an infinite number of universes, I'm dead every second from now. Yep. Because something killed me.
Yeah.
Right?
And then
in every universe, the chances of you being born are so infinitesimally small because of all of the insane amount of moments that had to happen up to that moment to create you.
Yeah, well, I think so. For instance, I would rather be the middle road of all of those branches.
You want to be the trunk.
Yeah, so maybe that's how... Yeah, maybe
every time you make a decision, the universe splits.
Yeah. So, I will say that
might be
you've had those moments. Yeah, you've had those moments where you're driving and you don't see the car and you start turning and you just stop in time, or they stop in time and you're like, oh crap, I almost screwed up there, or something like that happens. Yeah. And you get that hyper rush of adrenaline and things slow down.
Yeah, it's a really odd feeling sometimes.
I'm wondering if that's the universe slowing down and being plucking me out and being okay, It was about to go really bad.
So time is a funny thing because we think of time as a mechanical action, really. Because at the end of the day, a second is basically a mechanical action. Mm-hmm. And we use that as a way to keep time. But time is kind of subjective. Yeah. So I've always wondered this. Like, I kind of have a theory on it. And this is a very unscientific theory. So I feel like your scale of time is very directly related to the beating of your heart and how fast your anatomical rate is. So humans experience time in a certain span. So most people, the average age in the United States of a male is like 72 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's somewhere in the 70s. So we experience time on a scale of 70 years, right? So if you figure our second is, one span of 70 years divided by however much. Mm-hmm. Whereas a fruit fly only lives, 7 days? Something like that. So instead of living 70 years, their time frame is 7 days. So did they experience a day the same way we do? Or does one day on Earth to them feel like 30 years?
You ready for my big conspiracy theory?
Oh, here we go. We're going down the rabbit hole.
I truly believe that specific animals, maybe even babies, experience time and existence different than we do.
I don't necessarily disagree with that.
So further,
take me down the rabbit hole. Grab me by the hand and drag me down.
So we've all seen, like, for instance, dogs. They see things and, like, they'll just start barking, or they always seem to have, like, some weird sense.
Oh, geez. Now we're going down the real rabbit hole.
But when you look at, like, ghost stories, things like that, I truly believe that is just other realities briefly coming into place in our world.
All right. So how I stand on the ghost thing is I don't have...
Is that a phone?
I'm not sure what that is.
Hold on, everybody. We're trying to figure out what's going on.
We're talking about ghosts.
Yeah, and
that just got creepy.
Yeah, this is staying in.
That's a little weird.
I hope everybody can hear that, because Bryson's approaching the computer right now. No one is in this room with us except us. What was that?
That was a random countdown.
Okay, so a countdown just suddenly started on the computer.
And then went off.
I thought maybe it was the timer, but the timer's still going. Okay, continue about ghosts after whatever that just was.
Okay, so I'm going to say this again. Obviously, I might have made Ghost angry by saying that. I didn't even get to finish saying what I was saying. I was just about to start.
I know.
So, my feeling on ghosts is that there is a lot of coincidence involved in people's ghost stories. Mm-hmm. I think that there is a lot of energy, like talking physically here, there's a lot of actual physical energy in the human body, and in any body for that matter, any living creature. There's a lot of electricity in us. Mm-hmm. And I think that when a person dies, the laws of the universe basically are that energy doesn't ever go away. It changes form. So, I am on the fence. I'm 100%
that was a long explanation.
Well, it's for a good reason. So I'm on the fence because I haven't seen any good evidence either direction. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I find that it's hard to believe that the energy contained in the human body just dissipates instantly and just goes away. I feel like it has to change form.
Yeah. Oh, I agree completely. But
that was freaky.
I will say that that was freaky. I will say that I've had recently, because I think a lot of the ghost stories are kind of a mix of like how faulty the human brain actually is. So
our minds play a lot of weird tricks.
So we were up at camp. You remember, you were there, and then you ended up leaving early.
Yeah.
Because you had to get home to the baby.
Yep.
And I didn't feel well, and I was in the bed, and I just couldn't get comfortable. So I actually ended up taking, because I couldn't get comfortable. I was like, could barely breathe when I was laying down. And I think it's like a dust/smoke allergy that I get sometimes that just stuffs me right up. So I just went out on the couch, and I was just feeling horrible. And I was sitting there, and I mean, it was pitch black, and there was a light on like the VCR or something. And I'm looking at that light, and I'm just like sitting there, and I'm dead tired. Then that light starts moving towards me.
Yeah. And
it gets like right here, and then it starts going back. And then it starts moving around the room.
Right.
And
that was your mind.
Yeah.
That was nothing to do with
And
ghosts.
I mean, I could have been me, because it was pitch black.
Yeah.
It could have been me moving.
I've experienced that too, where like if you're in a perfectly dark room and there's a very small light across the room, it zooms. Like your mind zooms it. It's really weird.
So I think that's probably a good part of it.
Yeah, I think a huge portion of it, actually. And people have way more vivid imaginations than they give themselves credit for.
Yeah. Well, that's what they...
And we take things and blow them way out of proportion. I mean, if you're sitting in a room, I mean, half of people's ghost stories that I've heard is like, they're out in the woods somewhere, and they hear a noise. It's like, dude, we live in the middle of nowhere. There's lots of things in the woods that make noise. I mean, have you ever heard a squirrel in leaves?
Yeah, I think...
that can be... At night, that would be scary.
I can't remember where I read it. It was a study or something where they talked about the fact that people thinking about things is the, like, huge cause of any issue. Actually, I'm reading a book now called Deep Survival, Who Lives, Who Dies, and Why. And it talks about the fact that the more you go to, like, make yourself safe, the more dangerous things get. And I think along the same line, the more you think about things, the scarier it gets.
Probably true.
Because I've been, you'll walk, it's getting dark, you're walking, and then all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, it's dark out. And that's when you're like,
oh no.
Yeah. But until you think about it, it's not scary at all.
Yep.
And I mean, that's the huge thing about fear that they say for anything with anybody to try and break it is you got to just get them to experience it without thinking about it.
Yeah. People build up a lot of fears too, I think.
Yeah.
Like, let's see, let's make one right now. So we're sitting in front of, in the generic podcast room, which is still under construction.
Yep.
And behind us is a patio door.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm just going to say, picture a face coming up to that patio door in the pitch black, and there just gets into the light of the room.
Yeah. Legitimately, I just got a little bit of chills thinking about it. Yeah. And I mean, that's not me just saying it for the sake of the podcast, because I have a pretty vivid imagination.
Yeah, me too.
And I keep seeing the reflection.
I keep seeing the reflection of my face in that window.
Yeah, I hate you for saying that right now. But I think that's the thing is.
But we're gonna move on, and you'll forget about it, and your mind will stop playing tricks on you.
Exactly. And I had something I wanted to talk about.
I gave myself chills on that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. But I don't know.
I'm gonna Photoshop that into the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, this will be our second episode on YouTube.
So we're gonna have a while before this comes out, but that's good. So probably pretty close to Halloween when it comes out. Getting there. Yeah. We're going to have to do a Halloween podcast. Are we, though? Yes. Maybe. Yeah. We're going to wear Batman t-shirts. Batman outfit. No. You have to wear the spandex. No, you have to be Robin, with the old school Robin with the whatever, the Speedo on. No one wants to see me in a Speedo. No leggings, just... I don't think your legs are hairy, so it'll work perfect. My legs are hairy. Okay, that's even better. You'll be Robin, your hairy legs just sticking out of the... If I'm doing it, I'm shaving them. Oh, my God. Yep, shaved legs. Committing completely. Oh, man, but, I don't know, the ghost thing, I truly think there's stuff that goes on, but I don't think it's anything nefarious.
Whereas I've heard plenty of other people argue the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
Which is that there is no such thing as ghosts. There is, which when you're referring to like human spirits, there's only demons.
Yeah.
So anything that you hear or see that is, spiritual is nefarious.
Maybe.
Who knows, dude? I don't know the answer.
Yeah. I do know that people come forward to say all the ghost shows are fake.
Oh, yeah. I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah.
It's
not common enough to get that to actually happen.
Mm.
Oh, did you see that? I guess it's Six Flags is having a challenge to see if you can spend 30 hours straight in a coffin.
What's the big deal? It's a box.
I don't know.
Is it just because it's a coffin that it weirds people out?
Yeah. This is what I remember. It's all coming back to me now, and I keep looking into that window. Thanks for that. Biggest fear.
Okay.
You go first. Well, experience with fears. Have you ever... Okay, how about this? Have you ever overcome any of your fears?
100%, yeah.
Okay, what was that?
My biggest fear growing up was the dark.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sleep with a nightlight
mm-hmm.
until I was, middle of my teenage years, probably. Either a nightlight or like my TV on.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I don't even know if it was really fear of the dark. It was fear of the unknown of what could be hidden in the dark. I think that's really what everybody fears with the dark, is what could be there.
Yeah.
Like a face in the patio door.
Yeah.
But give myself chills again.
Yeah.
So, I think my biggest fear was, growing up anyway, was fear of the dark. But that doesn't really bother me so much anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because I've gotten, I don't know if I've just grown accustomed to it,
mm-hmm.
or if maybe I've realized that the only thing that is in the dark is maybe other people. And the worst thing is that they're going to try and harm me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I sleep with a shotgun next to myself.
Nowadays.
So by the way, don't try to break into my house, because you're definitely going to get shot.
It's funny because when I was doing a lot of the art study stuff, it talks about how the brain works and how humans think of things through shape recognition.
So, not to interrupt you, but there is one other thing that's, I don't even know if it's a fear,
mm-hmm.
but I still haven't overcome it. I don't know if I ever will.
Mm-hmm.
It's heights.
Yeah.
And it's not, I have a hard time calling it a fear, because it's not really a fear. It's more like a physical reaction.
Your fear. It's a fear. But
it doesn't, I know what scared feels like. And when I get up really high and look down, I don't feel scared. I just, my knees turn to jello and I pass out.
Yeah. It's a fear.
I've actually passed out.
Yeah. So, back to the darkness thing.
Sure.
I remember...
It's Babbleheads. After dark.
So... I think the reason kids are afraid of the dark is and like I said, humans recognize things by shapes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why babies can recognize faces. That's the first thing they look for. And you had a developing child, so you know that all you have to do is cover a portion of your face,
mm-hmm.
and they think you're gone. So when a kid sees something in the dark, it might be just some light shining in from the window.
Yep.
Or, there's something in the corner that makes a weird shape. Their brain will try to figure out what it is by the shape, and it can actually change it slightly into what it thinks it is, and it'll combine aspects. And there's two things.
I think I felt my brain do that before.
Yeah, there's two things I can remember. I remember one time waking up and thought I saw an alien walking towards me. And all it was the eyes. But there was light shining in the window that made the kind of the shape of the classic gray alien
eyes.
The
sideways teardrop.
Yeah. That, and then it kind of combined things behind it to make it look like there was an alien. So that freaked me out. And then I remember...
Maybe you were abducted.
Maybe.
Maybe you were anally probed.
Maybe.
You probably were.
But then...
in an infinite universe of infinite possibilities, you totally were.
Yeah. And then the other one was there was a coat hanging on a Orica vacuum in my room after I had cleaned it. I was too lazy that night to put it away.
That's a very vivid memory you had.
Yeah.
You remember the brand.
Yeah, and I remember waking up and thinking there was someone standing over me, and it was just a vacuum.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any of those where I like specifically remember something like that happening. Probably because I always slept like with a light on.
Yeah. But a fear I overcame was a fear of spiders when I was a kid. Yeah, I used to be horribly afraid of spiders.
Spiders aren't scary. I mean, some spiders are scary.
Well, I mean, no, I wouldn't hold a fuzzy one.
Be afraid of certain
I wouldn't
spiders.
hold a fuzzy one, for sure. But I remember I was walking down the stairs one day and a spider like went in front of me, and I was like, I'm not going to be afraid of this anymore, because I knew it couldn't hurt me. It was like a daddy long legs or something, so I put my hand out and it crawled on me, and that was it. I wasn't afraid of him anymore. I mean, granted, I still won't pick up a fuzzy spider, because here's a pro tip. If it's a wild animal and you don't know what it's capable of, just leave it alone.
Saw a gray fox today. Speaking of wild animals.
Yeah, just leave it alone. They might look cute, but just leave it alone.
Almost hit it with my new car.
Yeah.
I've never seen a gray fox during the day.
No,
That's the first time.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the nice things about being out here. But as far as fears right now, I can't really say I have a fear that I know of. Like, I'm sure I do, but I can't think of one off.
I have like those lame fears. Like those weird adult fears.
Well, that's just life.
Yeah, I am afraid that life is going to turn me on my head at any point in time. Which it tried.
That's responsibility.
Life has tried this year to turn us on our heads, but we somehow landed on our feet.
But yeah, I mean, the height things never really bothered me. I'm
a family thing. I feel like that's genetic.
I'm practical about it. I'm not one of those parkour guys.
I think that may be a genetic trait, because it's myself, my dad, and my brother all have that same thing where it's like, I'm not afraid. Like, I can climb a ladder, get to the top, and look down. It's not that I'm afraid to get up there or do anything like that. But once I'm up there, my body goes, whoa, you're way too far from the ground, and it tries to put me away.
Speaking of weird genetic traits, when me or anyone in my family like is outside and the sun kind of shines in our eyes, we sneeze.
You're a vampire.
Maybe.
Some vampires burn up, some vampires sparkle, some sneeze.
See, I brought that up to somebody, and I'm like, because they talked about evolution and changes based on climate, and I go, yeah, like how my family, when we're in the sun, we sneeze. And they're like, what? Is that a thing? And I'm like, you mean that's not normal? Because everyone, like literally, if I feel like I have to sneeze, I can just go like this and kind of look up at the sun a little bit through squinted eyes, and I'll sneeze.
I had to give that one a pause. Let everybody react to that one.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I can't tell you if that's actually evolution or de-evolution. I'm not sure. I think you're going the wrong direction, bro.
Well, have you seen that Facebook thing going on? If you go like this, and do it.
I'm not going to do it.
Go like this. Do you have a thing right here? Oh, actually, mine's kind of popped. No. So apparently some people have a completely useless tendon there that's left over from when we were chimps. and they think it's like to hold on to.
So are you telling me that we're higher evolved than some people? You and I?
Yes,
I don't believe
our
you.
friend Jake has it.
Now that you've tried to tell me that I'm more involved than anyone, I don't believe you.
Yeah. But it's just something left over.
Interesting.
We don't need. Like, kind of like our tailbone or, what is that thing that always gets...
The appendix?
Appendix, yeah.
The pancreas is necessary.
Yes, the pancreas is necessary.
I don't know what it
does.
I was
hoping I didn't get enough of that out for you to catch it. But,
can't sneak anything by me, buddy.
Yeah. But I don't know. As far as, like, unknown things and fears like that, it's just part of growing up.
I mean, there's still twinges of the stuff that I used to fear. You know, that's still in
cockroaches.
I hate cockroaches. Insects in general, I'm not a big fan. It's not that I'm afraid of them, but I'm not a big fan.
They gross me out. And I know that's not a very manly thing as I'm getting ready for bed at 8 o'clock.
Stop it.
But
you're not getting ready for bed.
I just don't like that stuff. That doesn't mean I'm afraid of it.
Right.
But I don't know. Yeah. It's just... It is what it is. But You need to join my book club.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Dude, I know, but it's a men's only book club, and we read some
Very
pretty awesome
nope
stuff.
There's not even any chicks there.
Bro, we read Jordan Peterson's book.
I read that on
I
my
said
own.
his name right. We read a lot of things.
Jordan
that I think
Peterson and
them. But I think you like it a lot. And I know, it's just something to help.
Do they drink whiskey, sit around a microphone, and talk about stuff?
No.
All right, I don't want to go.
You're such a loser. You're not cultured enough.
Nope.
You're an uncultured boob.
I don't even know what all 3 forks are for.
Salads, main course, and dessert.
All the salads.
Yep, that's totally what it is.
Yeah, it definitely is. Has to be. What about the 4 spoons and the 3 knives? I don't know how many knives or spoons there are in a fancy setup. I used to know, maybe. No, I never knew. Look at the big noise I just made.
Did you ever do the whole Christmas or Thanksgiving with all the place settings and all that stuff?
No, but I did do, when I was a kid, a couple of times my parents took us out to like very fancy restaurants because my dad used to work in New York City. So every once in a while we would go down and visit him down there, like if we had school break and stuff, and sometimes we'd go to like a really fancy restaurant in New York City and there was like the whole spread.
Yeah.
And there was, I want to say 4 forks, 3 spoons, and 2 knives.
Well, one's the soup spoon, one's the...
You have a soup spoon, a teaspoon, and a...
Spoon.
Just a spoon, like a regular spoon, tablespoon.
So,
and then you have an appetizer fork, a salad fork, an entree fork, and a dessert fork.
See, I feel like as I grew up, my family got lazier. Because I remember when I was a kid, there was the kids' table and then the parents' table. And we always did like buffet style where you made your food.
Yeah.
But then you would sit down and you'd have a place setting. Actually, no, we used to actually have the food on the table and you'd pass it around. And like you did that, there was the wine glass that we never drank wine out of. It was always water or juice because nobody in my family drank at the time. And like we sat around and did like the whole thing. Like you had your specific spot. My mom would get like nutcrackers or something so everyone had like a little gift and a marker. Now it's like find a place on the couch, grab the buffet style food and go ahead.
Stop complaining. All right? You have a family that actually likes you around and they get together to celebrate holidays and you have a feast. It could be so much worse.
Yeah.
You should just be happy to be a man living in America. America. Because, you know what? We got it pretty good here.
Mm-hmm.
We got it pretty good here. I was just thinking about feasts. I feel like that's something that I've had way too many of them in my life. And I think that growing up, we had a lot of family feasts.
Yeah.
And eventually that turned into me just having feasts all by myself.
Yeah, like my Feast of Panera Bread, which was a large mac and cheese and a bread bowl mac and cheese. Yes.
Why? Was it so you could eat all the mac and cheese out of the bread bowl and then refill it?
See, you use the bread, because when you get it to go, hot tip, when you get it to go, they give you the bread bowl separate so it doesn't get soggy. So you use the bread bowl as a spoon, but you eat the spoon at the same time.
You eat the spoon?
Which is the bread bowl.
Okay.
You use the bread bowl.
With the plastic spoon.
Yes, it's pretty tasty. But yeah, their mac and cheese with bread.
The spoons are BPA free, so I eat them.
Yep. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. That's a lot of food. That's a lot of pasta.
Yeah.
Although,
it's definitely not.
Just the other day, I had a craving, and I followed through.
Chicken Riggy pizza.
Oh, don't even go there.
Mm.
No, I had a craving and I followed through, and it was a craving for Burger King.
I had Wendy's.
So I went there and had a 1920s coal miner shovel a bunch of chicken nuggets into a bag for me.
Yeah, throwback. Yeah, those chicken nuggets. That's the epitome of like, I just want to shove
just think about
things in my mouth because it's not even good. You get no satisfaction. Yeah, you get no satisfaction from the nugget
Honestly,
itself.
I don't find them to be as bad as you do.
You might as well just spoon the sauce.
I don't find them to be as bad as you do. For real. But what blows my mind about it is like you go to Walmart and buy a bag of Tyson chicken nuggets, right? It's going to cost you $9.99 for like the normal size bag. And there's probably 50 nuggets in there. I mean, it's a good size amount. You go down to Burger King, you march your happy ass in there. You can order a 20-piece for $3.28.
They must, you know what?
So for the same price, you could order 60 nuggets, and they're already cooked for you.
You know what I think it is? I think they're just scraping like grease and stuff off of the machines at night and putting it in a machine, and it turns it into nuggets. You know, like any leftover meat juices and solids and fries, and just compacting it into nugget form.
So they like scrape the fryers and the grills into like a vat, and then they put it under pressure like a diamond, right? Yeah. And eventually, after like 10 years, they just have 1 million chicken nugget surplus because they've figured out a formula to turn garbage into chicken.
Yeah, we used to call it the dishwasher special. At the end of the night, because I had the privilege of working as a dishwasher at a restaurant at an Italian place, which is the worst because cheese is an absolute bitch to get off of dishes.
After a putty knife.
After it's been like on there for like an hour. And
my only experience from that is having cheese on a plate for like 3 days because I didn't do dishes.
Yeah, just imagine that times 1 million because every dish gets cheese. It was horrible. And at the end of the night, you let the drain out and you're like, oh my God.
I don't know if Italian's the worst. I think probably the worst would be Mexican.
No,
because that's sauce and
that
cheese.
Stuff slides right off.
I don't know, man. I feel like you just are saying that because you worked in an Italian restaurant and you were biased.
I don't know. I'm not a... So true Mexican doesn't have that much... I guess...
No, there's a lot of cheese in Mexican food.
Yeah. So maybe it's the same.
I struggle to think of a dish, of any dish, that doesn't have cheese on it that's Mexican.
Chicken.
That's not a Mexican dish. That's just chicken.
They make their chicken with their Mexican stuff on it.
Yeah. With sauce and cheese.
So I
kind of like Italians.
I went to a Mexican place once. And I was young, so I was still picky. And I'm like... I started liking shrimp. I'm like, I'm going to get this shrimp.
All right, I have to give a little backstory before, because you just said something that reminded me of something.
Yeah.
Corey, when we were children, literally would not eat anything but chicken.
Yep.
And chicken.
Yep.
And junk food.
Yep.
Just chips and chicken, basically.
Yep.
But luckily, he learned to broaden his horizons.
Yes, I now eat pretty much everything.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but what I wanted to explain when you said I started liking shrimp, it's because he literally never had shrimp.
Yeah. So I started liking shrimp. I got a plate that's about the size of this table. I'm good.
Okay.
About the size of this table. 7/8 of the thing.
7/8
beans.
That's very specific.
7/8. Like there was like
0.875.
There was 6 shrimp and a mountain of beans, and I hate beans. And I just look at my parents because we were on vacation in Florida.
Do you hate all beans or just some beans?
I don't like beans.
Make a chili tomorrow. You want to come have chili?
I like chili. I like that. I'm going to be gone all day tomorrow.
Oh.
Taking the dog to meet his long lost brother. And
I thought you were going to say long lost lover for a second there.
Yeah. But I just don't like the beans where it's like that. Like, I don't know. I'm not. Yeah.
What about baked beans?
That's the same thing.
Baked beans are like congealed. So you don't like refried beans?
Yeah.
Where it's like bean mush?
Yeah.
So like beans that...
Because I don't like potatoes. Yeah, I don't get the beans.
But do you like them? Like beans that are actually beans?
Yes.
But so you just don't like beans that are like congealed in a thing?
Yeah.
You don't like baked beans? Yeah. I never used to like baked beans. And then I had a recipe of baked beans that had bacon on it. And I was like, oh yeah, now we're talking.
Yeah, but this was classic for me as a kid. We'd go out to eat somewhere with friends. Mm-hmm. And I would order something and not eat like any of it. So my mom and dad would have to take me to like McDonald's after. And I mean...
It's common though for a kid. Yeah. I know a lot of kids who are like... They get a burger at a fancy restaurant and they take a bite and they're like, no, give me a McDouble.
Yeah, I think... Well, and I think it's been proven that kids, their taste buds are completely different.
Yeah, I'd say.
And I
I have seen some kids that amazed me. Our former boss's daughter, she blew my mind several times.
Lots of stuff is going on tonight.
This is a weird one tonight.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I think it's all how you approach it.
So I'm sorry. I was right in the middle of a sentence and I totally forgot it.
Boss's daughter.
Yeah, she's blown my mind several times. Like, his wife made smoked salmon dip, like homemade, and it was amazing to me because I'm an adult, and adults like things like smoked salmon. Yeah. But so does their daughter. I mean, she likes that. She likes all of these weird things. Like, she likes quinoa, and she likes like avocado.
Well, I think that stuff, it's how you approach it.
Maybe.
You know, I mean,
when I was her age, I was like, give me some chicken nuggets, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was lucky that when I was growing up, part of why I was so fussy was because of our eating habits. You know, my parents were so busy, we basically stuck with to-go or whatever. We didn't really have a lot of the sit-down, like, mom cooked the meal or dad cooked the meal. Yeah. We had a couple of those, but when those happened, they weren't really good cooks anyway. And then when I got older, I would cook for them. So, yeah, I think that's part of it. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have a burger until I was...
Did we lose our video, I wonder? Is that what that noise was?
No, I think we're good. Maybe. Oh, well. Oh, well. You know, this one will just be cut short, I guess. Maybe it died. That's what happens when you don't charge the GoPro. We should probably have like a USB cable running to it just to make sure it has power.
Maybe.
But learning curves.
Yeah.
But anyway, when it comes to being fussy, I didn't have a burger till I was in college.
Yeah.
And I decided to have an Applebee's burger first, which could have spelled disaster.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it didn't spell diarrhea.
Yeah, it was bad. And I mean,
You know, some places have fresh, never frozen.
Yeah.
I know a couple people who work at Applebee's, and their actual motto is the opposite of that. Yeah. Every single thing you've ever eaten at Applebee's basically is frozen.
Yeah, but
the steaks come in frozen.
The frickin' mac and cheese, mac and cheese with the honey glazed tenders on it.
It's gross. It's garbage. It's garbage, dude.
It tastes so good. It's like people go, "Do you know what's in that hot dog?" I'm like, I don't care. It's delicious. They're like, actually, there's pig lips in that. And I'm like,
I know exactly.
That doesn't bother me.
I know exactly what's in this hot dog. It's all the leftover ground up parts of the animal. And you know what? I'm so glad it's in there. It's so delicious.
That's the thing. As long as it tastes good and it's safe.
And it's getting used.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? Throw away the pig lips? You savage. Use those pig lips.
Well, that's something too. We've discussed down the road, they have those weird cows that look like hairy cows.
Long hair cows.
Yeah, and I kind of want to get like the meat from them because, you know, Joe Rogan talked about how he moved to hunting because he was sick of getting his meat from the markets because of the whole horrible practice of how they're treated and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's a pretty honorable thing. So I was thinking about, you know, those cows, they seem to have a pretty good shtick. They have free range, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, they're all grass fed.
I just wouldn't have room for all of that meat.
You can buy, I think most people let you buy like a half. Yeah. I don't think you might be able to get a quarter, but I think that most places want you to buy a half a cow.
Yeah, well, you buy half.
Well, and then maybe what you got to do is make an arrangement. Yeah, like if you bought a half a cow, I would buy an eighth from you.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I got to find 6 more people.
That's bad math, bro.
No, an eighth.
Uh-huh.
I want an eighth. That's 2 eighths. 6 more people makes 8 eighths. You can't math. I know. It's
8 eighths is a whole cow.
Yeah. Well, 8 eighths of a half.
No.
I'm talking. You're. Oh, okay.
I would buy an eighth of a cow. No, an eighth of a cow.
Yeah, eighth of a cow. I thought you meant 4 eighth of a whole half.
So you'd need 3 people total, including yourself, or not including yourself. So you'd only need to find 2 other people.
Yeah.
Not 6.
Yeah. But I have to get in the habit of actually cooking. But I mean, that's a big thing too, is like...
But if you have good quality meat in your freezer, you're probably more likely to do it.
Yeah.
The problem is your freezer's the size of like a microwave.
Yes. I could always get like a chest freezer.
I need a chest freezer.
I need money.
And you need a place to put the chest freezer.
Yeah. I mean, there's places to put it, but that's all stuff when I get my own place, which I'm hoping...
You have your own place.
In the next couple of years.
It's just adjacent to your grandma's place.
Yeah. I'm just hoping in a couple of years to have, like, an actual house.
And maybe we could talk about this sometime on a podcast, but buying a house was like a dream of mine for a really long time.
Yeah.
And you were there like most of the time when I was like, I think I'm going to buy this house.
Yeah.
I'm going to go look at this house. I'm thinking I'm going to buy
right down the road from where you used to work. It was perfect.
It used to be perfect. I was close enough that I could drive home on my half-an-hour lunch and cook on the grill.
Yeah, that was good times.
And drive back.
We had some good food those times when we cooked those burgers.
Maybe someday, man. You know what? This is a call to all the listeners of this podcast. I don't know, maybe one of you at this point.
No.
Tell your friends. Maybe someday we'll do this as a job.
Maybe.
It's never going to happen, dude.
But we're having a good time. That's all that matters. But,
yeah.
I think it is what it is.
So here's a test to all the people who might be listening to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you are listening to this podcast and you like it, first of all, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Second of all, we would love it if you would drop a like on our SoundCloud or on our new YouTube page, which this is probably no longer recording video. Yeah. So there's a good chance you're probably looking at a Babbleheads logo right now instead of our faces.
Apologize for that.
Sorry, Corey needs to learn how to charge cameras.
Yep.
But aside from that, what we'd like you to do is email us. Okay? And I want
No, don't email us. No.
Listen to this.
He's getting way too caught up. Just like, all right, you don't even have to do that. Just listen. I don't care.
No. What I want is I want to vote. I want to know from somebody if you want us to bring a third babbler in.
Only part-time.
Of course. We want to know if anybody's interested in us talking to another person.
Maybe.
It might not be the same person. It might be different people, whatever. But we're just interested. I'm interested to see if anybody's interested to hear that. So email us, because that's the way to do it. You can email us at babbleheadspodcast@gmail.com.
That's it. That's the email.
That's the one. That's the first time we're putting it out there into the world.
Yep.
babbleheadspodcast@gmail.com. And you should follow us on SoundCloud. Maybe download us, whatever it is that you do.
How about this? You just keep doing what you're doing out there. I don't really care. Bryson's all cut off on this. I'm having fun. He claims he's having fun. That's all that matters.
I'm having a blast. I just want more people to hear your glorious voice, Corey.
Yes. My glorious voice. Sadly, it's accompanied by yours, but we'll do what we can.
We all have to make sacrifices
for the team. But I think that's about it. You want to talk about anything else?
Yeah, I do. But we'll talk about it next time.
Hey!
Got him.
Have a good night.
Later.